All right, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good Shabbos. I tell you, it was a crazy day for weather today. It doesn't look like the sun is out, but it was trying to poke out when I was walking down the street. So, but didn't know if it wanted to rain, it didn't know if it wanted to snow, didn't know what it wanted to do. So, but it is Shabbat, doesn't matter what it wanted to do. Shabbat is here, and we are here, and we got people. You'll hear them in a moment. And we're going to begin with benching licht, and we have Judy coming forward to light the Shabbos candles. Page 3 and page 2.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch Tah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu b'chadlek ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you, Judy. Let's continue with an English reading, responsive reading on page 6. Page 6, near the middle of the page. May the door of the synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship.
May all thanks to express, hopes to nurture.
May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness.
May the synagogue be for all who enter the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
All right, page 20. Lecha Dodi. Right about this time, the Mekubalim, the mystics in the city of Sfat, would be heading up to the hills just outside the city, when they would be watching the sunset. They would be dressed in white. They would have already gone to the mikvah. They would have already done their pre-Shabbat rituals, and now they would be watching as the sun set in the hills, ready to welcome the Shabbos bride or the Shabbos queen, depending on which Mekubal, which mystic you followed. But they would greet her with Lecha Dodi. And so that's what we're going to do. Lecha Dodi, page 20. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabila. Shamu v'zachor v'dibor echad, Hishmi'anu el ha'miuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, L'shem tiferet v'li tchila, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabila. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, Ki mekor ha'bracha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabila. Mikdash melech ir melucha, Kumitzei mitoch apecha, Rav lahak shevet b'yemecha bacha, V'hu yachamol alai chemla, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabila. Itna ari me'afar kumi, Lipshi bigdei tifarteika ami, Al yad benishai beita lachmi, Korva el nafshi gehala, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitorri, ki ba'ori kumi uri, shir daberi, kivod Adonai alayich nigla, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela, lo tevoshi, v'lo tikolmi, Mahatish tochachi umahatemi, dachyechesu aniyehe ami, v'nibneta ir altila, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela, v'hayu l'shim sashosayich, v'rahachaku kol nevalayich, Yasis alayich Elohayich, ki himsos chatan al kala, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela, yamin usmol tifrotzi, v'et Adonai ta'aritzi, al yadish ben partsi, v'nihi smecha v'nagila, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela, boi v'shalom ateret bala, gaham b'simcha u'bsola, toch emunei gam segula, Boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Turn to page 22, and we'll read in English the first part of a song for Shabbat, Psalm 92, the official psalm for Shabbat. And then we'll continue with the indented Tzadik Katamar in Hebrew. But together at the top paragraph, a song for Shabbat. It is good to praise Adonai, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to proclaim your steadfast love at daybreak, your faithfulness each night, with a 10-stringed harp, with voice and lyre together. You have gladdened me by your deeds, Adonai. I shout for joy at your handiwork. How great are your works, Adonai, how very subtle your designs. A brute cannot know, a fool cannot understand this. Tzadikata hamar yifrach, keres balvanon yiskeh shetulim. Bebeit Adonai, dechatzrot Eloheinu, yafrichu, ojenu neseva, deshenim bera'ananim, yihiyu lehagi. Ki Ashar Adonai, Suri Elohav Latavo. And let's welcome the angels. We welcome the Shabbos bride. Let's welcome the angels who come to spend Shabbat with us. Shalom Aleichem, the traditional greeting, page 24. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Amlachim Kadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu L'Shalom Malachei HaShalom Malachei Elyon Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitzem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Page 146, Baruch Hu, the formal call to evening worship. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Page 147, let's read in English together. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you, and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Avavim. Page 148. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot u'kim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu B'shofteinu u'kumeinu Nasiach bechukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha U'b'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed Ki heim chayenu v'yorech yameinu V'yorech yameinu Ubahem nehege yomam v'layla Yomam v'layla Ve'ahabatecha atas yamim le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohei b'amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol vavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha dehayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'blektecha b'derech u'b'shoftecha u'kumecha u'kshartam le'ahot al yadecha v'hayu latotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'hisharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם Page 151, let's read responsively. We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all. Before our eyes, there's a vision of perfection, order, and goodness. When will redemption come? Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High. Top of page 152. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi chamocha neder b'kodesh. Nohora tehilot, nohosei feleh. Malchutecha ra'u banecha, bokeyam lifnei Moshe. Ze'eli anu mi'amruhu. Adonai yimlok le'olam va'ed. V'nemar kifad Adonai et Yaakov. Uga'alo mi'ad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Page 153, the top two lines of Hashivenu. Hashivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Let's read together in the English. Give us a place to rest, O God. Shelter us in the long, soft evening shadows of your truth. You are true protection and safety. In your presence we find love and acceptance. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, al-porei suchat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Page 154 at the top, verses from the book of Shemot, from the book of Exodus, reminding us of our connection to Shabbat. Vishamru. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti li'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Ubayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית olam. The center part, or central part of the service, the Amidah, pages 155, 156, and 157, we'll chant together. And we'll go silently as we finish the Amidah, continuing through page 167. You can finish the Amidah in Hebrew, or in the English, or you can offer up your own personal meditative prayer during that time. We're going to begin together 155. Adonai sifatai tiftach u'v'yagi tehilatecha. Adonai sifatai tiftach u'v'yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גואל לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, וברוך אתה אדוני, Magin Abraham, Yitzchak Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Meitim Atarav L'Hoshia, Mashif HaRuach, Umorid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayei Meitim B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofek Oholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekahayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Al Gevurot, Umidom Mehelach, Melech Mimit Umechahayem, Umatziach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'hachayot meitim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei ha'meitim. So completing your Amidah, please continue at your own pace. We're going to read together in English on page 160 in the middle. 160 in the middle. May these hours of rest and renewal Open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may we all live in such a way that this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. All right, page 163. Let's read responsibly, in English at the top. For the good in us which calls us to a better life, we give thanks.
For the strength to improve the world of our hearts and our hands, we offer praise.
For the desire in us which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful.
For life and nature, for harmony and beauty, for the hope of our heart, praise the force of faith.
We'll close out the Amidah on 164. Prayer for peace. In the evening, it is Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'necha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol heit u'b'chol sha'a v'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Praise are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom. Page 253, we'll continue with the Mishaberach, one of many prayers that go by the name Mishaberach, but this one is for healing, and so if you have somebody that needs a little bit of extra healing, keep them in your thoughts, close to your hearts, as we will continue with Mishaberach. Mishaberach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mikor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. All right, prayers for our community, pages 258 and 259. And Dr. Mark, would you lead us in the prayer for our congregation at the top of 258?
Source of all being, may the children of this community learn these passions from us. Love of Torah, devotion in prayer, and support of the needy. May we guide with integrity, and may our leadership be in your service. May those who teach and nourish us be blessed with satisfaction, and may we appreciate their time and their devotion. Bless us with the fruits of wisdom and understanding, and may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy.
Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadcha b'yira na'avod. David, how about the prayer for our country, please?
Thus says Adonai, this is what I desire, to unlock the fetters of wickedness and untie the cords of lawlessness, to let the oppressed go free, to break off every yoke. Share your bread with the hungry and take the wretched poor into your home. When you see the naked, give clothing and do not ignore your own kin. If you banish the yoke from your midst, the menacing hand, the evil speech, if you offer compassion to the hungry and satisfy the famished creature, then your light shall shine in darkness.
Shalu Shalom Yerushalayim, Yishlayu Ohavayich. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. Avinu Shabashamayim, Sur Yisrael V'golo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reishit Smichat Pulatenu. Hagen Aleha B'Efrat Chasdecha, Ufros Aleha Sukat Shlomecha, Ushlach Urecha V'Amitcha L'Rasheha, Sareha V'Yoetzeha. V'Takneim Be'etza Tova Milfanecha, V'Natata Shalom Ba'aretz, V'Simchat Olam V'Yoshveha, V'Nomar Amen. Susan, would you lead or read the prayer for the state of Israel, please?
O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there.
Amen. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, everyone who read. All right, friends, Shabbat Shalom and good Shabbos. It is Parshat HaMetzorah, which, if you keep a track, not one of the most interesting in the book of Leviticus, often voted one of the least favorite of the 54 Parshiot, only because it continues this discussion about skin afflictions and their purification rituals. Now, if you are a dermatologist, this is your Parsha, as is last week's, right? Skin eruptions. If you're any kind of doctor interested in pus and scaly skin afflictions, these are for you. Unfortunately, for many of us, it doesn't work. There's special attention given to the appearance of fungus and mildew in the home. Well, by the home, they meant the tents, but same thing, right? There's now an affliction that can strike the tent that is fungus and mildew-like, renders the tent and often the inhabitants impure. And they finish off with probably one of the most, I don't know, kind of graphic descriptions of impurity resulting from contact with bodily fluids. And yeah, we're not going to talk about that. For our biblical ancestors, these conditions were important, not just for health, but also for ritual. Health is obvious, right? If somebody shows up with a skin affliction, you don't know exactly what it is, and if it's contagious, you got to do something. You got to get them out of the camp, because if you let them in and it is contagious, you've just wiped out everybody. Think about how we were with COVID, right? We didn't want people around who were sick or sniffly or anything like that. So it's not a perfect analogy, but you know, we understand that. Once the temple was destroyed and Judaism moved from being a sacrificial cult to rabbinic Judaism, these ideas about ritual impurity changed. They actually fell out of favor. It was no longer about physical impurity, bodily impurity. It was more spiritual. right? It's about the impurities that get into our spirit that make us ritually impure, make us impure. And the Talmud makes this jump. The Talmud makes the jump for us, where it is Zot Tihiyah Torat HaMitzorah. This is the opening line of this week's portion, which is, this is the Torah, this is the law, this is the teaching of the Mitzorah. This is the person who comes down with Sa'arat, right? This is the person who has the affliction. Amar Reish Lakish, one of the great rabbis of the Talmud, says, my diktiv Torah Mitzorah. Why is it written the law or the Torah of the Mitzorah? Zot Tihiyah Torato Shel Hamotzi Shem Ra. And he says, this is the teaching, this is the Torah about the Motzei Shem Ra. Now, what Reish Lakish will do in a little bit is he will explain that Motzei Shem Ra is for him what the word Mitzorah is an anagram of. It really isn't, or an abbreviation, but it's the bringer of a bad name, right? So Reish Lakish starts a discussion about if the spiritual impurity has to do with people who say nasty things about others. The Motzei Shem Ra, the bringer of a bad name. And so the rabbis make that jump. They make that switch from physical impurity, keeping you away from being able to do ritual things like approach the temple, approach the korbanot, the sacrifices, and it becomes a teaching about the power of words. And all too often we forget that words have power because, basically we don't care, right? We'll say whatever comes to our minds. And if it's true, it's true. If it's not, it's not. And a lukewarm apology, I was just saying, or something along those lines is what you'll get. But for the Torah and the Talmud and the rabbis going forward, that physical impurity has now been transformed into a rotting on the inside. And the nastiness, according to Reish Lakish, is that which bubbles up. And it can be seen by people. So if you're out there slandering others, bringing about a bad name, well, now other people are going to know because you're going to break out in this thing, this scaly affliction. And then you're going to have to leave the community until you are made pure. And that is, right, that's the line that it goes, because we don't have the temple anymore. We don't offer sacrifices anymore. So physical ritual impurity doesn't matter. Spiritual impurity is what matters. And so those who are keeping score at home, this week we have 11 new mitzvot, 11 positive, 0 negative, and they were numbers 173 through 183. So, and that is our Torah portion in a nutshell. All right, this week, it's hard to believe, this time next week, it's Pesach. And so this Shabbat has a special name. It is Shabbat Hagadol. It is the Great Shabbat. Traditionally, this is the only one of 2 times where you would hear the rabbi give a formal sermon. The rabbi would give a formal sermon on Shabbat Hagadol and Shabbat Shuvah, and it was just them going over the laws for Shabbat Shuvah, that is for Yom Kippur, and Shabbat Hagadol, the laws for Pesach. But I'm not going to do that. One thing I want to do is share a little humor with you. We need some humor, and so I dug up something that a colleague wrote. We are so interested in, getting through things, right? If I had $1 for every time somebody asked me at a community Seder, how long is the Seder going to be? I would have been a community rabbi for about 2 years, and I would have been able to retire, because that is the number one question, as in the high holidays, is how long our service is going to be. And so a friend who got tired of hearing that wrote the 2-minute Seder, right? So now you can do your Seder in 2 minutes and, get about your business, apparently. So the opening prayers, thanks God for creating wine. And we drink the wine. Thanks for creating produce. Now we can eat the parsley. Overview. Once we were slaves in Egypt, now we're free. That's why we're doing this. 4 questions. What's up with the matzah? Question, what's the deal with the horseradish? What's with the dipping of herbs? And what's this whole slouching at the table business? The answers, when we left Egypt, we were in a hurry. There was no time for making a decent bread. Life is bitter, like horseradish. It's called symbolism. And free people get to slouch. A funny story. Once these 5 rabbis talked all night, then it was morning. Eat your soup now. 4 kinds of children and how to deal with them. Wise child, explain Passover. Simple child, explain Passover slowly. The silent child, explain Passover loudly. The wicked child, browbeat him in front of the relatives. Speaking of children, we hid some matzah, whoever finds it, $5. The story of Passover. It's a long time ago. We were slaves in Egypt. Pharaoh is a nightmare. We cry out for help. God brings plagues upon the Egyptians. We escape, bake some matzah. God parts the Red Sea. We make it through. The Egyptians, not so lucky. We wander 40 years in the desert, eat manna, get the Torah, wind up in Israel, get a new temple, enjoy several years without being persecuted again. Let your brisket cool. The 10 plagues, blood, frogs, lice, you name it. The singing of Dayenu. If God had gotten us out of Egypt and not punished our enemies, it would have been enough. If he had punished our enemies and not parted the Red Sea, it would have been enough. If he parted the Red Sea, get the gefilte fish out of the refrigerator. Eat matzah, drink more wine, slouch. Thanks again, God, for everything. Serve your meal. A little under 2 minutes, right? This could be a thing. But on a more serious note, Pesach, the rabbis have a tradition of wordplay. Right? If you study Talmud with me, if you study Torah with me, you see that there are, especially in Hebrew, you can do a lot of things with words and come up with pretty interesting things to say. So the word Pesach is its own word, but the way it's pronounced, Pesach, can mean the mouth that speaks. Peh is mouth or lips. Sach is a word, gives us the word siach, which means a conversation or a discussion, the mouth that speaks. Now we know that the main idea of Pesach, of Passover, is about memory, right? We'll recite Yizkor on the last day. It's about Zikaron, it's about memory. But it's also a time to tell our stories. The word Haggadah comes, the word Haggadah or Haggadah comes from the Hebrew verb lahagid, means to tell. So there's stories involved. Our ancestors told the stories about where we began. We started out as slaves and we got free. They tell us where we were, our ancestors do. And our story, the one that we tell, should be where we are going. The past is the past. We have the present and to move into the future. So Pesach is our story. From slavery to freedom. Now, as I've said many times, Pesach isn't something that happened 3,000 years ago. It's something that happens every day for us, right? We move from slavery to freedom. We end relationships and start new ones. We end a job and start a new job. We we sell our car and buy a new car, right? There's always something moving forward. It is always from one place that we want to get out of to another place where we want to be. And Mitzrayim is not just a place. It is the name for Egypt. But Mitzrayim comes from a word, Meitzar, which means a narrow place, a constricting place, a place where you can't be who you are. And so this year, what is our story going to be? What narrow place did we leave? What narrow place are we? From which narrow place are we escaping? it's incumbent upon us, the Haggadah tells us, to imagine ourselves as if we were slaves in Egypt. But it's not as if, because we are enslaved. Bad habits, right? Bad friends, bad whatever. There's always something that's squeezing us. So how are we going to leave? What are we going to do? Because our stories must be meaningful. If Passover is not meaningful, then we don't have to do it. If we're doing it just to get through a 2-minute Seder, then we don't do it. Because if it has no meaning, it has to have meaning. And that's why we bring our stories, each and every one of us. How are we, each person, going to be transformed? How are we going to go from darkness to light? Just like our ancestors did in that first Pesach, when they actually got up and walked out of Egypt. And then the next generation, when they overcame their challenges, all the way up to where we are. What challenges have we overcome? How are we going to add to the Pesach story? And every year, Pesach becomes more and more meaningful as more and more people add their story, as we include our own stories at the Seder table. So this year, this time next week, what story are you going to be bringing to the Seder? Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos. All right, friends, I'm going to start. No, I'm not going to start closing out because we have Kiddush. And Vayahi erev vayivoker yom hashishi vayachulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzivam vayachal Elohim bayom hashvi melachto asher asa vayishpot bayom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa vayavarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i Vayikadesh oto kivo shavat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asot. Sabri Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'ratzon b'nfilanu zikaron le'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila l'mikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat mitzrayim Kivanu v'charta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, ve'shabbat kodshecha, ve'ahava u'vratzon, inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh, Shabbat. Now we're going to start closing out page 282. Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'hadon ha'kol. Latei gedula liotzer reishit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'nishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kaim, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam, anachnu korim, u'mishpachavim u'modim, Lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוצר הארץ, ומשה יקרו בשמיים עמם, ושכינתו זו, לגובי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו, אמת מלכנו, אפס תורתו, פגעתו בתורתו, ידעת היום והשמותה אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת עינו. כתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. This week, we observe the following yahrzeits. Aaron Mayer, Jane Glick's father, Eleanor Gaffin Slotkin, wife of Seymour, Wendy Uslan, Mark's sister, David Fox, father of David Fox, Jean Dunn, sister of Pauline Kaplan, Marilyn Herbert Shatta, Allison Harold Herbert's oldest daughter, sister of Anita and Ellen, Maury Hartz's cousin, Belle Bro Shradsky, Harold's mother, Andrew Katz, husband of Jesse, father of Jerry, Josephine Klausner Mayer, Paul's mother, Louis Boos, Bill Fetter's father, Thelma Boos, Izzy Boos's sister-in-law, Faye Crew Lloyd, Charles's wife, Jacob Mayer, Joan Weisberg's grandfather, Isaac Gross, Diane Shadows' maternal grandfather, Carol Klein Levin, Mitch Klein's sister, Celia Skoll, Barrett's mother. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May their memories be a blessing to us always, and may they all rest in peace. Page 294, Mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadol, Yit Kadash, Shmei Rabbah, B'Alma, B'Vrach, Hirutei, B'Amlik, Malchutei, B'Chayechon, B'Yomechon, B'Chayei, B'Chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, B'Zman Kariv, V'Yimru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah, Barach, L'Olam, L'Amel Maya, Yit Barach, V'Yishtabach, V'Yitpa'ar, V'Yitromam, V'Yitnaseh, V'Yithadar, V'Yitalev, V'Yithalal, Shmei Risha Brichu, Le'elam Yinkol Birchata B'Shirata, Tushbachata V'Nechamata, Amiram B'Alma V'Yimru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'Chaim Aleinu, V'Al Kol Yisrael, V'Yimru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Romav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu V'Al Kol Yisrael, V'Yimru Amen. All right, friends, we are very much near the end of this evening's service. Just a couple of quick announcements. Let's see, tomorrow morning service is at 10 a.m. and then again on Sunday at 9 a.m. No adult ed until after Pesach. And on Monday night, we're going to take a night off from deep dive, unless you want to come to the house and do a deep dive into my oven and help me clean it. And we could study Torah while we do that, but that's Monday night. Got to clean out the oven. And so we're going to take Monday night off, but we'll be back. I know it's going to be the week of Pesach, but we'll be back the following Monday. Tuesday night, there's a board of trustees meeting here at the synagogue, 7 p.m. And if you're a board member, you should have gotten your invitation, but if you didn't, it'll be there on Monday. You won't be forgotten. Wednesday is then Yiddish choir. And then we're going to be back on Friday, and it's going to be Pesach. And so services are going to be a little bit different on Friday and Saturday and Sunday next week. So we'll be sending you out information about that. But yeah, it's going to be Pesach next time we see each other for a service. So I want to wish you a Shabbat Shalom and a good Shabbos and a Chag Sameach, a meaningful and joyful Pesach in advance. And so, Judy, I forget anything? Did I get it all?
Raffle
I think
tickets.
so. Oh, but we still have to sell tickets for the raffle.
What Judy said. It's raffle time, so buy your tickets. Get your friends to buy tickets. Get your enemies to buy tickets. If they win, then they'll be your friends. See, I mean, come on now. Maybe that would work, right? Your friends won, your enemies won, right? They'll become your friends. But yeah, buy your raffle tickets. That's in 3 weeks.
May 3rd.
Okay, is that 3 weeks?
May 1st, 3 weeks from Sunday.
3 weeks from Sunday. 3 weeks from Sunday. All right, 2 weeks after Pesach. Thank you, David. All right, so let's close out on this interesting Friday evening, weather-wise, here in Huntington, with Adon Olam 321. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nihivra Li'et Nasa B'chefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'Yacharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nohora Vehu Haya Vehu Hoveh Vehu Yeh V'Tifara Vehu Echad V'Ein Sheni Laham Shelo Lahachbira V'Li Reshit V'Li Tachlit V'Lo Ha'oz V'Hamisra Vehu Eli V'Chai Goali V'Tzur Hebli B'Yehitzara Vehu Nisi Humanosli Menat Kosi B'Yom Ekra B'Yahado Akid Ruchi V'Yehishan B'Yahira V'Yim Ruchi Geviyati Adonai Li V'Lo Ira. All right, friends, it looks like we have some people saying Shabbat Shalom to us over the interwebs. Let's see. Judy Lundy, Shabbat Shalom to all. Thank you, Judy. ML Glazer, along with Herman, wish all a good Shabbat. Thank you, Mary Ann. Herman, Melanie Samuels from Brooklyn, obviously not Huntington. Good Shabbos to all on this beautiful evening. Thank you, Melanie. Same to you. There's Mom. Shabbat Shalom to all from Rabbis Mom and Cliff. Wishing you all a great weekend. Thanks, Mom and Cliff. And Donna Wilson, wishing everyone a calm, thank you, peaceful, and warm Shabbat. Thank you, Donna. You got them all right back at you. All right, everybody, have a great Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. Good Shabbos. Be careful out there, and we'll see you soon.
No snow.